My time of drinking and using was just, it was like life scooped out, basically just the hollowed out version of a life. There was just no hope, no willingness, no joy there. It sort of all kind of kicked off in the mid-90s. I was 15 in 1995. Blur and Oasis were doing their thing. You know, there were a lot of under-18s, sort of indie nights and stuff like that going on. And I kind of just jumped into that through my love of music. I kind of got into those nights and started off with underage drinking and smoking a bit of weed, and then kind of, you know, once I turned 18, it was down the pub every night, because that was where, you know, everyone was having a laugh. So as a teenager growing up in that, it was like, yeah, this is fantastic. And I kind of held on to that until I was in my 20s. And then a friend of mine who was living in Brighton just sort of said, why don't you come down to Brighton, we need a bass player. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool, I'll do that. So that just opened up the door for a whole new level, you know. I've always kind of been enamoured with the kind of the tragic hero kind of side of things, and the kind of misunderstood creative. I very much saw myself as this lead character in this film that was destined never to achieve, and I think that was a huge part of my story. It was easy to believe rather than actually face the truth, which was that I was a hopeless alcoholic, and my life was going down the toilet, and that unless I sought help, there really wasn't going to be any way back. By late October 2015, I was sort of starting to see that, you know, I needed to kind of get some help. So I checked into a treatment centre, drank within 11 days of finishing that, and was back into a 7-month binge that probably nearly killed me. I owed a friend 50 quid and went up to his room, gave him 45 of the 50, and he saw me pocket the fiver, and just had a go at me, and I just flew at him. I just started, you know, all for the sake of 5 quid, and I knew that 5 quid was for alcohol the next morning, and he knew it was for alcohol the next morning, and he messaged me and just said, you really need to get some help. So I took myself off and booked in for treatment, and that was kind of where it all started for me, I guess. Life started again. Recovery has given me self-acceptance. There was a lot of soul searching, really. Being honest with myself was the first thing I needed to do. Being honest about what I wanted from my life now. So making the promise to myself that a life in recovery had to be better than anything I'd done before. Was drinking and using fun? It was for a time. Would it be fun now? No. Okay, well, we won't do that then. There were degrees of honesty there about who I was as a person and what I wanted out of life, but then it was also with the people around me as well. You know, having worked as the 12-step program, going to my parents, being honest with them about, you know, my behaviours and who I was. Life in recovery is all about balance. You know, home life, work life. You know, it's having that balance. So it was a real revelation for me. It was to kind of just to meet life on life's terms and be honest with life. That changed a lot for me. I was 3 years a couple of weeks ago, and I put a post out on Facebook, and the one thing that I wrote, which I kind of believe more than anything, is that once you can accept yourself for all your faults and all your imperfections, and for all the bits of you that are not quite up to scratch, or in your perception up to scratch, that you think you should be better at, you can accept all that stuff, you can genuinely sit there and say you're happy. And I think that's the thing that recovery's given me, is the ability to say I am happy and actually mean it. There's a sort of a tendency to focus on the kind of the negative and kind of how bad things have been, and certainly I can tell war stories after war stories about the crazy, stupid, messed up things that I've done, but really that's all done with. It doesn't matter. That's kind of what's led me to this point now, which is, you know, my past is there, and I definitely don't want to shut the door on it too much, because that's what's kind of informed my kind of understanding of who I am now. But certainly I'm not going to go running back there. So I think we need to, as people in recovery, and we need to focus on the future. We are more than our past, because we are now, and we are what we're going to be. That is behind us. It's always moving forwards. We're Not Saints is a beautiful thing, and long may it continue. But you know, this life it's life beyond my wildest dreams. I never knew, you know, that getting sober would lead to this. You know, I thought it would just be life minus alcohol and drugs, not life plus. It's an incredible thing. So.